First Coast's most accurate forecast from the First Coast News Weather Team, certified by WeatherRate, sponsored by AC Designs.
Hey, happy Monday, beautiful people. Welcome in. It is officially and finally Christmas week here on the First Coast and everywhere across the United States of America. I am happy about it, looking good, feeling good, not only here on the First Coast, but everywhere. Welcome in. I am meteorologist Ross Mumal for our daily 4:30 Weather Watcher stream. I am riding solo today, myself, and I guess Jason Derulo with riding solo because Chief Meteorologist Lewis Turner, he is off the whole week, spending some much needed time with friends and family here on the First Coast. So Lou, hope you enjoy your time off. So let's kind of just get into what we got going on this week. A broad look to start us off here. Locally, we've been a little bit on the cooler side today. It's been a bit breezy, but there is a tongue, so to speak, of warm air and warm weather streaking up across the central part of the country. You notice the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles, western Kansas, western Nebraska, eastern Colorado. You see those bright yellows and oranges kind of sneaking up. There is really a surge of warmth up out of the Mexican Plateau and out of West Texas, up across the eastern slopes of the Rockies. So you got 74 in Denver right now. The Jags probably on their way back already, but those Broncos back to practice today. They're probably sweating it out there in Denver. That is well above average, nearly 30 degrees actually, warmer than where they're typically at for this time of the year. Whereas you go a little bit further north, you still got that cold air in place. Jackson, Wyoming at 37, 35 in Bismarck, 17 in International Falls there in northern Minnesota. So a clear delineation of where the cold air and the warm air is trying to penetrate here today. Rain and precipitation-wise, also kind of arcing over the central part of the country, right along the jet stream, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But kind of zooming in, it's Michigan, Ohio, and western Pennsylvania is kind of the hotbed for activity, at least for the time being. Specifically, old Cleveland. They've had a decent amount of snow showers coming down. Now, this is a live look out of Cleveland. I would say about 25 minutes ago, there were just flakes all over the skyline. You almost couldn't even see the buildings with how heavy and thick the snow was. That has started to subside a little bit. They got a nice sunset shot out there in Cleveland tonight, but a decent amount of snow coming in across much of northeastern Ohio. And if you're looking for a white Christmas, we talked a little bit about this last week, but the Northeast is probably the place to be. Now, you're going to have to pretty much go, I would say, north of the New York and Pennsylvania state line. So we're talking up towards the Adirondack Mountains and upstate New York. You might have a decent snowpack up there. Similar story for the Green Mountains and the White Mountains in Vermont, or the Presidential Mountain Range up in northern New Hampshire where Mount Washington is. A lot of snow for those folks. Boston, maybe a little bit left on the ground there. New York City, though, perhaps not so much, and certainly not going to have any snow here on the First Coast. We're going to be much too warm for that. Now, could we see some rain? Some folks are trying to get in on a little bit of that action here today, and this is something that we forecasted for most of last week and over this past weekend. We mentioned the possibility of those strong northeast winds pulling in a little bit of moisture off of the ocean and sneaking its way inland. So we do have some very light, quick-moving showers making their way inland across St. Johns County right now. So County Road 206 from pretty much Butler Beach over toward Hastings, getting in on a little bit of some light shower activity. So just north of Marineland there on A1A. St. Augustine inland over toward just to the south of really Green Cove and Green Cove Springs. So a little bit of some rain, but that's pretty much it. The rest of us, we're pretty dry, mix of sun and clouds out there for most of us, but the northeast winds, they have kept things significantly cooler. You go off to the west, those winds not penetrating nearly as much. We're talking upper 60s and lower 70s from Lake City to Valdosta to Gainesville, whereas areas closer to the Atlantic Ocean, closer to where the strongest wind gusts are and that air coming off of the relatively cooler ocean waters, you got upper 50s and lower 60s. So 59 in St. Simon's Island, 61 in Mayport, Brunswick, St. Augustine, all certainly on that cooler, chillier side of things out there, especially when you do factor in the wind speed. We've had sustained winds of about 10 to 15 miles per hour most of the day, and we've had some gusts upwards of about 25 to nearly 30 miles per hour at times. So it, yes, has been a rather windy day for many folks, especially from I-95 east and closer to the intercoastal and the beaches and the coastline. But those winds will begin to gradually calm down and begin to die out here as the rest of this evening wears on. Now, temperature-wise, we're not going to cool off all that much here over the next few hours because of the influence of those onshore winds. So if you're heading out either to Nights of Lights in St. Augustine or perhaps to deck the chairs out of Jacksonville Beach, looking pretty good. Low 60s, still going to be rather breezy up until I would say about 7 to 8 p.m. Once you approach closer to 9, 10 p.m., I do expect the winds to taper off quite a bit. And it gives you about a 20% chance of rain there at 8 p.m. That's just really for the fact that, yes, there might be just one stray little shower that tries to sneak its way on shore. Most of those should stay south of Jacksonville Beach. So looking good if you're heading out to deck the chairs. Otherwise, rest of us here tonight, or at least for and around the Jacksonville area, temperatures are going to continue to cool off down into the low 50s around most of Duval County, really. Now, inland locations, especially along and west of Highway 301, could be a little bit cooler. We're talking low 50s, upper 40s from, Charlton County up towards Pierce and Ware counties in the Waycross area and Blackshear area. So there will be some cooler spots out there, but overall, the trend here over the next week, if not longer than that, will really be slightly warmer than average lows and afternoon highs. And we'll get into that here more in a second. But let's get to your Tuesday. Your outlook for tomorrow, looking fantastic, much warmer. Someone's cranking up the thermostat a little bit for some of you folks. If you weren't a fan of the 60s and the wind and the breezy conditions out there today, drumroll, you are in luck. Mid-70s return for your Tuesday afternoon. Mostly sunny skies, so it'll be a warmer day. The winds will be quieter as well, so a bit of a calmer day. You don't have to be too concerned about losing your hat or losing your wig, for that matter. No judgment. To each their own. So you shouldn't have to be too concerned about making sure it's down tight. Winds quiet off. And overall, it'll be really just a gorgeous day, especially for, mid to late December here now. Our average high, you see it right there, should be about 68 degrees. We're going to be anywhere from 5 to nearly 10 degrees warmer than that. Mid-60s for Jacksonville. The further to the south and southwest you go, closer to the I-75 corridor, the warmer you're going to get. So, Keystone Heights, upper 70s, Gainesville, 80 degrees, Palatka, 78. So, folks, they might be roasting in those ugly Christmas sweaters if you're wearing them out there tomorrow for any holiday festivities that you might be trying to get into, because temperatures certainly will be on the warmer side as your Tuesday progresses. And much of this is due to that tongue of warmer air that I started the show off with. I showed you across the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles and up across western Kansas and Nebraska, there was a surge of warmer air, right? Well, this is all because of the jet stream kind of arcing up over the western side of the Rockies, up over the northern plains. You can see it cutting across the Dakotas, or South Dakota at the very least, and then coming back down across the mid-Atlantic and New England states. So it creates this big ridge of high pressure, essentially, this big bubble of warm air over the southern plains and the southeast here, including the First Coast and Jacksonville. And you can see it pretty much stays in place through your Christmas Day on Thursday, and then even into Friday. Now, it will flatten out a little bit, and you'll notice that, but it really does do those two things. One, it keeps us warmer and keeps us dry, specifically because most storm systems need to be steered by something. You need steering flow to get a front to come towards you, or for a low pressure system to swing up your way. Well, because that jet stream's so far to the north, it's not really steering anything our way, keeping us high and dry here. So no rain concerns, at least for the rest of this week, for your Christmas holiday. Now, as we look ahead to this upcoming weekend, things might change a little bit. We might have some activity to talk about So before we get into that, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk about the rest of the forecast for this week. And, of course, take a look ahead to that all-important weekend between Christmas and New Year's after the break here. Are you traveling with your kids this week? Are you traveling perhaps with your in-laws? That sounds like a almost nightmare to me, to be traveling 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours even, stuck in a minivan with your 3 kids, your wife's parents. If you're doing that, at least the weather's not going to add any more stress to you. We got plenty of sunshine, dry skies here across Florida and the Sunshine State and much of the Southeast. Travel impacts are pretty much at absolute zero with regards to the weather for your Tuesday morning, for your Tuesday afternoon. Now, I will note, if you are flying up to the Northeast, if you're heading anywhere really north of New York City, so Hartford, Connecticut, Providence, Rhode Island, Boston, Portland, Maine, just kind of to name a few. If you're going to Western New York even, there could be some minor travel impacts for you. As for the West Coast, we'll watch around kind of the LA to Sacramento and San Francisco area, Portland, Oregon as well. But for most of the country, Tuesday's looking great. Now, if you're flying out on Christmas Eve, things look fantastic across, I would say, 85% of the country. One big area that you're going to have to watch for, though, will be the Southwest. So Las Vegas to Los Angeles, San Diego, there is going to be a pretty large rainstorm system that'll bring mountain snow to the Sierra Nevadas in California, but low visibilities, decent amount of rain, cooler temperatures, really from San Francisco down the West Coast to San Diego and Los Angeles. So if you're heading out to LAX, keep in mind, might have some travel impacts, at least weather-related ones, on Christmas Eve. Outside of that, though, by Christmas Day, most of the country is looking pretty good. You'll have some mountain snow and or rain in a few locations, but otherwise you're looking good. So if you're heading out in the car with your family or friends, either tomorrow or Wednesday, couldn't ask for some nicer weather. We're going to be pretty warm here on the First Coast. Mostly sunny skies, pretty warm afternoon. Temperatures up into the upper 70s. And then finally, toward your Christmas Day, I want to give Lee Southwick, meteorologist Lee Southwick, a shout out here. She kind of went back and looked at what our temperatures have been so far kind of during the last 3 big holidays, right? Or not the last 3, but, you know, what I'm talking about here. Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, they're kind of the big 3 at the end of the year. Halloween, we hit 70 degrees. Typically, the temperature should continue to go down as the year goes on, right? In the winter in the northern hemisphere, you continue to cool off. So we had 70 at Halloween. You would think Thanksgiving would be a little bit cooler, and it was upper 60s, but still rather warm. And then you look at Christmas. I mean, we're talking upper 70s. We have a forecasted high of 77 degrees here in Jacksonville. Feeling very merry and very bright, whether you're out at the beach, sleeping with Santa, trying to get a little suntan out there, or, you're opening presents with your family and friends. This is going to be a warmer Christmas than average by about 9 to 10 degrees. Now, it won't be our warmest Christmas ever on record. That was set back in 2015 with a high of 82 degrees. So it's been 10 years since we've had the warmest Christmas ever. And here's just a quick look at the last 10 warmest Christmases. Of course, 2015 was that 82. You had 81 in both 08 and 1984 there. 80 degrees then in 1987 and 1974. And then you continue down the list, keeping it steady in the at 79 degrees. So with a forecasted high of 77, we would not even break into the top 10 of warmest Christmases on record here in Jacksonville, just to give a little bit of, some context. So there it showed you, typically we should have an average high of about 66 by Christmas Day. We will be a far cry from that, again, about 10 degrees warmer. Friday, on the 26th, Boxing Day, for all you Canadians out there, eh? Sunny, warm, going to be a little bit breezier on Friday with winds out of the southwest, but you'll notice the trend, it stays the same. Our high temperatures here over the next several days are all going to be well above average, anywhere from about 6 to 10 degrees above average each and every afternoon. That continues into your upcoming Saturday. So if you're going to the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl, you got Virginia and what are they? The Cavaliers? They're the Cavaliers, right, Marlo? Yeah, okay, the Cavalier. I've been to Virginia. I've been to Charlottesville. I should know that. I apologize for any Virginia alum out there. You got the Cavaliers. You got the Missouri Tigers coming to Everbank Stadium. Kickoff at 7:30. Great. I mean, kickoff temperatures in the upper 60s. It'll cool off into the low 60s by the second half and the fourth quarter of the game. But truly football weather here in the River City. Nothing to stick your nose up at there with the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl forecast this upcoming Saturday. So if you got nothing going on, buy a couple last-minute tickets, head out to it. So, as you've probably picked up on at this point, wow, Ross, the weather's really quiet this week. There's really not a whole lot to write home about with regards to Christmas week's weather. Yep, you got that right. So, we're always trying to look ahead to, okay, when is the next big impactful event? It is going to be warm this week, so perhaps that may be impactful to you if you don't want it to be warm and you'd prefer a bit of a cooler Christmas that makes it feel more like the holiday season. But we are tracking that next front, and it does appear to be on its way toward the First Coast by the end of this upcoming weekend. So by Saturday, there it is, pretty large and potent storm system up across the upper Midwest and Great Lakes. That'll bring some rain and snow from Minnesota over to Pennsylvania and New York. But the tailing cold front is going to surge down toward Jacksonville by late Sunday night and into early Monday morning. Now, we've seen a lot of these over the past, I would say, month or two, about 7 to 8 days out. These fronts are shown on the models. They'll show a decent amount of rain on them. And then once you get to about 3 days away from the event, there's really not a whole lot of rain or moisture left for, the front to work with. So we're going to, take it with a grain of salt, the chance of rain. We're keeping it anywhere from about a 10 to 30% chance of rain. And I want to stress that's going to be for Sunday evening and into next Monday. So some folks might be heading back to work next Monday. Just be mindful. Might have some wet roads, but this forecast is going to be fluid and some things will change between now and then. Really, the bigger story on Monday is going to be the colder air that's working its way in. Strong area of high pressure out across the central plains becomes situated by Monday afternoon. Colder air wrapped around on that side. So a strong northwest wind with winds anywhere from about 10 to 15 miles per hour, gusts upwards of 20 perhaps, are going to blow into the First Coast on Monday, and that will drop our temperatures quite a bit. So that's kind of the next thing we'll talk about here is, when exactly that front will arrive, how it will impact us, what are our rain chances going to be like, just how cold we are going to get. Right now, we're thinking we're dropping out of the 70s, back down into the 60s by early next week. And as I dumbly showed you, a little foreshadowing of what's to come, the college football playoff began this week, or this past weekend. And of course, you know, Chief Meteorologist Lewis Turner and I, we pick the games every week. So I want to give you an update on how we did. Hint, not so well. We'll take a look at it here after we take another short break, guys. Welcome back in, folks. As many of you know, every Friday, typically, last week it was on a Thursday, I believe, Chief Meteorologist Lewis Turner and I, we will pick 4 games in the SEC that are typically happening on our networks here on ABC 25. This past week, of course, we were lucky enough to have 2 of the college football playoff games, one on Friday night, one on Saturday afternoon. And as always, you know, Lou and I picked the games. You will see who we had picked. Both of us, surprisingly, going with the Sooners. Wish I hadn't. And similarly, we both went with Texas A&M, who put up a measly 3 whopping points against the Miami Hurricanes. Didn't take a rocket scientist, though, for us to be able to predict Ole Miss and Oregon somehow blowing out the G5 teams and James Madison and Tulane. So I guess props to us. So nonetheless, Lou and I both went 2-2 this past week. Not really all that great when you think about the games that we were choosing. So Lou's still staying steady at 500. I'm there at 41-23 throughout the entire season. So, of course, we're not going to probably end up picking them at the end of this week, since we do have about 10 days until the college football quarterfinals kicks off on New Year's Eve. But so there's just a look at the games if you haven't kept up with it. You've got Miami and Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl. You've got Oregon and Texas Tech in Miami for the Orange Bowl. The granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl out in Pasadena between the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Indiana Hoosiers, and the Ole Miss Rebels taking on number 3 Georgia in the Sugar Bowl on New Year's Day evening. So Lou and I will be picking those games either at the end of this week, but more than likely probably by early next week once he comes back from vacation. We'll see if I can keep a hold of my lead on him until then. I think if I get every game wrong and he gets every game right, he still has a chance to beat me. So we shall see. Nonetheless, let's give you one last look here at the 7-day forecast. Most of Christmas week looking fantastic. If you're a fan of warmer weather and sunshine, you are in luck. It is here to stay. Today, we are a little bit on the cooler and windier side. That is done and over with, because by tomorrow, we're back up into the mid-70s. Upper 70s Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Your Christmas day will certainly be on the warm and sunny side out there. And then the weekend, staying warm as well. We're keeping highs in the mid to upper 70s, a little bit more clear.